Okay, so we're going to start with the first story of the day, because kind of shocking royal news that a lot of people are talking about. Did you hear this? Prince Harry and Meghan have been evicted from Frogmore Cottage. You think you have family drama. Okay. This is, of course, their home on the grounds at Windsor Castle. King Charles is reportedly telling the couple they have to give up the place the day, this all went down, by the way, the day after Harry's book Spare was published. So timing's quite interesting as well. Okay, so is it clear that the royal family is telling the Sussexes, Nigel, once and for all, you out?
Yes. It's definitive, hard line in the sand, like that's the piece, you're done. They're just gonna have to get Airbnbs like everybody else. Like, you know what I mean? If they're going back to the UK to visit, they're gonna have to do the research and figure out which shire they're gonna go to, you know what I mean? And they're just gonna have to do the thing, because they're out, they're done, it's a wrap.
Wow.
Can I just say I love the name Frogmore Cottage? Am I the only one? It just makes me think of like a little like nestled in the woods cabin with like fairies and, you know, toadstools and all this stuff and a lot of frogs. I do think it is very pointed, but here was my wonder, and I feel like you're gonna have it, well, both of you will. Is it possible, I know the Queen gave it to them as a couple, but is it possible that she left something in her will that said actually goes to Andrew?
Goes to Andrew, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting because the latest story also, which I think you're alluding to, is that the story beside all of this story with Meghan, Harry, and Frogmore is that King Charles, who has always been at odds with Prince Andrew, was always threatening, when I become king, I am pulling your allowance. And guess what? He just did that to Prince Andrew. He just pulled his $400,000 a year grant. So because of that, Prince Andrew and his not-so-estranged ex-wife, the Duchess Sarah Ferguson, they now have to move out of the Royal Lodge. The Royal Lodge is this, like, sprawling 30-bedroom mansion also at Windsor grounds because Andrew no longer can afford to keep it up. But guess where Charles said you can move to? You can now have Frogmore Cottage because I've kicked Harry and Meghan out.
Yep.
Like, right? And so now he doesn't have the mansion. He doesn't have an allowance. He's going to have a job like the rest of us to pay for it. So you're right. I actually think this story has much more to do with Prince Andrew than it does with Harry and Meghan, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also, though, you know, the news, as we've heard from Prince Harry and the book, has been how this family treated me badly and how they made us feel not welcome. So then when you pull something like this, if you're King Charles, don't you kind of just prove that everything Prince Harry has been saying is true, which isn't a great look? It's not very strategic.
No. It's not very strategic. I do think, like, the coronation's going to be interesting because that's happening May 6th. Apparently they've been invited. But where are they going to stay? Nigel, like, they're going to have to Airbnb it.
They're
like
already opening up the laptop. They're already on it. They're checking the Google Calendar. You know what I mean? I mean, also, can we just talk about the coronation for a second? There hasn't been a coronation for 70 years. 70 years! The Queen was 27 when she was... So, like, this party's going to be bananas. 70 years to party? Yeah, you don't think so?
Well, I feel like, you know, parties depend on who the host is. And look at who the hosts are.
Yeah, you're not
like
wrong.
King
we
Charles
talked about
and then,
yesterday, like, nobody wants to show up. Like, none of the musicians he asked for are showing up. So I don't know who's going to be playing.
And now he's making his son go to an Airbnb. You know what's also weird? When you talk about Frogmore, you love that name. And remember we read the book Spare, and in the book, Prince Harry says that he has chosen to be buried there. Like, that is where he wants his final resting place to be in Frogmore. So, like, basically one day someone's going to be giving a tour and they're going to be like, here's where Prince Harry is buried, and over there is where he was evicted. Like,
Hey there, wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.